what's up? In this video, I'm gonna show you guys my meticulously tested recipe for shakshuka and how to avoid the most common pitfalls that I see home cooks making when it comes to this dish. To get started, I'll cut one large onion into a small dice. For this dish, I want the onions to cook down to be super melty and soft, and starting with small pieces like this gets me that result much faster. One large onion should yield me about 300 grams. Next, I'll take 2 bell peppers and cut them down into planks that I can dice. I'm trying to leave as much of the white ribby part attached to the core here as possible because it's wet, bitter, tough, and lacks flavor. From here, I'll just slice these down into half-inch strips, then cut those strips down into a clean dice. I want these peppers to be on the smaller side for the same reason as the onions, and in total, 2 medium bell peppers should yield me about 150 grams. To cook the sauce, I'll grab a wide, shallow pan and drop it over medium-high heat. I prefer a 12-inch nonstick pan for this because it fits plenty of eggs, and the wider surface area reduces the sauce faster than a deeper, narrower pot. Once my 12 inch is hot, I'm gonna add in a significant amount of olive oil, like at least a 6-second squeeze or 5 glugs. Maybe even a little bit more. Then in goes my diced onions, the bell peppers, a small pinch of salt to draw out some moisture, then I'll jump in and stir. You guys, when you're making a marinara style tomato sauce like this one, you just need way more olive oil than you might think. Most home cooks are pretty shy and don't use enough fat, but the olive oil is what soaks up all the flavor from the garlic, onions, peppers, and spices, and it carries that flavor through every bite. It also brings balance to the acidity in the tomatoes, almost like it's a vinaigrette, and it adds a silky, rich mouthfeel that makes the sauce taste much more pro. After 6 to 7 minutes of sweating over medium heat, the onions and peppers have softened quite a bit without being caramelized. That's important. Cooking things slowly keeps the flavor sweet and clean instead of dark and roasty. Next, I'll add in 50 grams of minced garlic and 20 grams of chopped Calabrian chilies. By the way, 50 grams of garlic is a lot. It's like 12 cloves. So if you're out there being like, yo, that's too much, it's not. You're not enough garlic. Did you ever think about that? Just do yourself a favor and use pre-peeled cloves and smash them through a garlic press. That's the fastest way to get this much garlic prepared quickly. Or use garlic paste from a tube. That stuff is gonna work totally fine here. Once the chilies and garlic are in, I'm gonna stir and sweat everything together for about 5 to 6 minutes until the aromatics are basically melted. Don't rush through this, please. Most of the flavor in this dish is being developed right here, right now. And a little bit of patience waiting for the peppers and onions and garlic to soften is gonna go a long way in making this dish taste so delicious. Yeah, I'm gonna add a little bit more oil at this point too. The onions and peppers absorbed the first round that I added, and I want this dish to be very well lubed. At this point, I'm also gonna add in about 50 grams of water and sizzle that off real quick. This is a bit of an insurance policy that makes sure that any last bits of onion or pepper that are still holding onto their crunch get softened. And after about 15 minutes of total cook time, the water's been sizzled off and the aromatic base is insanely flavorful. Next, I'll add in 10 grams cumin, 10 grams paprika, 5 grams coriander, 3 grams black pepper, 5 grams of salt, and 10 grams of sugar. Then I'll jump in and fry those off with the aromatics for about a minute or so, or until the oil is perfumed with the aroma of the spices and things are smelling very dope. Next, I'll add in 225 grams of tomato sauce or tomato puree, then 1 28-ounce can of prepared whole peeled tomatoes. To prepare those, I pulled 4 or 5 of them out the can and diced them small. These little extra bits are gonna add texture that make the sauce much more rustico and interesting. Hey Bri, couldn't you just use crushed tomatoes instead? That seems easier. Well, I tried that and most brands of crushed are too thick, too pasty, and don't have enough chunk to make the sauce texture more interesting. Next, I'll drop in my immersion blender and spin up the rest of the whole peeled tomatoes until they're smooth. Then I'll slide the chunky tomatoes back in. This combination is gonna give us the sauciness of a crushed tomato and the texture of a diced tomato. It's somewhere right in the middle, which for me is perfect for this dish. Also, the little extra half can of tomato sauce that I added is just there to bulk up the total volume of tomato. It tastes exactly the same as the pureed whole tomatoes. It just keeps me from having to open a second 28-ounce can. Back at the stove, I've got the tomatoes stirred in and up to a simmer, but it's plopping all over the place. So I'm gonna turn the burner to about medium, then I'm gonna drop on a lid in a way that will catch the plops, but also allow the evaporation to escape. Then I'll just move over to the oven real quick and preheat it to 325F. Then I'll reduce for 10 minutes while I quickly thank Made In for sponsoring this vid. Made In makes professional quality products for home cooks. Their pans are what I use every day in these videos and for all all of my home cooking. But also, Maiden's cookware is used by professional chefs in all kinds of restaurants, from casual bistros to super high-end 3-star Michelin places like Alinea or Le Bernardin. The pan that I'm using in this video is their 12-inch ceramic-clad sauté pan. Like I mentioned earlier, I prefer this pan for shakshuka because the wide surface area reduces sauce much more efficiently than a deep pot, and I find that it's the perfect form factor for cooking the eggs evenly. This particular line of pans is built from a premium 5-ply stainless steel material, which means that we get really nice even heat as the sauce reduces, so there's no threat of scorching. And as I'll show you later in this video, this pan can also go right into the oven to finish cooking. Also, Maiden's ceramic coating is made without any sketchy chemicals, so you don't have to worry about it slowly killing you. And as another bonus, it's very easy to clean. Wonderful. So if you want some high quality ceramic cookware that looks really good and performs even better, head over to the link down in my description to save on your order. 10 minutes later, this sauce is reduced by about half. I like to call it done only when my spatula leaves a lazy trail when I pass it through. If yours is looking looser than this, you'll need to keep on simmering. One more visual cue that I use to decide whether or not it's egg time is to take the pan off heat, then see if I can make a well that stays put in the sauce. And that looks like it'll hold an egg pretty good. From here, I'm gonna crack 6 to 7 eggs into little 3-inch wells that I've made around the pan with my spatula. This is where the 12-inch form factor really shines. There's plenty of space for each egg to spread out, and the sauce sits at a perfect 2-inch depth. That way the eggs are supported by the bottom of the pan and they don't disappear down into the sauce, which can easily happen with a deeper Dutch oven. Once the eggs are in, I'm gonna come back and nudge some sauce around the edges to partially cover the whites. This part doesn't have to be perfect, but it helps the whites cook faster and more evenly, and it keeps the eggs nicely contained so that the whites don't combine with each other. Once the eggs are tucked into the sauce, like this, I'm gonna season each egg with a tiny pinch of salt, like just enough to make them sparkle a bit. Then I'm gonna pop on a lid and move this over to my 325F oven to bake for 10 to 15 minutes. During that time, I'm gonna make sure to get some rustic, crusty sourdough fried off in a lot of olive oil. Bread quality matters a lot for the enjoyment of this dish, so I would recommend going out of your way to find something compelling. Or if you wanna make something compelling yourself, check out my video for sourdough for total beginners. I'll link to that in the description. And after 10 minutes in the oven, I like to check on these, even though I know that they're probably gonna need a little bit more time. Yeah, the whites are still a little bit clear in places. So I'm gonna give these another 3 minutes or so. And about 3 minutes later, the eggs are about 90% done. Not 100 because the pan and sauce around them are still pretty hot, and that's going to give us some carryover cooking. At this point, the whites should still have a slight jiggle to them, but there should be no clear snotty stuff hanging around on top. If there is, throw this back into the oven for 2 to 3 more minutes. Now to finish this dish, I'm gonna sprinkle a liberal amount of feta cheese on top. This brings some saltiness that balances out the intensity of the sweet acidic tomato sauce, along with a little bit of creamy fat to lux things up. Once that's in, I'll drop the lid back on and use the residual heat from the pan to soften the cheese and set the whites just a little bit more. 3 minutes later, look at this. Are you looking? I mean, come on, that's perfectly cooked shakshuka. The whites are fully set, the feta has melted into the sauce, and everything has come together beautifully. To garnish, I'll hit with a generous pinch of chopped fresh parsley and then some chopped fresh cilantro. Then I'm gonna give the shakshuka a long, sensual drizzle of olive oil to dress up the herbs, and then finally I'll hit it with a bunch more salty feta, because I always want more cheese. And when I finally cut into one of these eggs, you can see a beautiful mix of textures. We've got set whites, some firm yolk on the bottom, and then some beautiful jammy soft yolks towards the middle and the top. A lot of people chase runny yolks, but I don't see the point. The sauce has plenty of richness, moisture, and flavor on its own, and runny yolks almost always mean runny whites, which for me is unforgivable. Anyways, I'm gonna pile some of this up on top of a piece of sourdough and give it a taste.
That is so good.
The peppers and the onions are sweet, soft, and a little bit meaty. The yolk is jammy and rich. There's a little bit of heat from the Calabrians, and then when I get everything in one bite on some toasty bread, I'm done for. I'm dead. It's that good. It's like all I've ever wanted at once. I hope you guys try this. If you guys want another one of my videos where I show you a well-tested recipe that works, I'll link to one on the screen right here. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you there.